it's often very difficult to find examples of really good e-learning.
You need to find a way to organize everything and that everyone understands, okay, I'm doing this specifically.
We're not creating videos for the sake of creating videos. We're creating videos to solve a business problem.
You have different opinions of people and we need to come to a consensus. Customer becomes part of the team.
Look at the portfolio in the Microlearning Lab and you will see massive projects that go way beyond that.
Understanding what your client needs. The storyboard is a still image of every scene that we're going to have.
If you're trying to develop engaging microlearning, e-learning at scale with limited time and resources, what's tip number one? Hey everybody, Erick Prospero here with the Microlearning Lab, and this series is specifically about bringing in industry leaders tied to microlearning, talking about best practices, tips, things to allow you to scale up production, develop content that drives measurable results. And today's industry expert, I don't think there's anybody better qualified to talk about scaling up e-learning, microlearning production than Carlos.
Hi Eric, thank you. I'm the CEO of Ninja Tropic, and I am a graphic designer that has been in love with all the instructional design or e-learning. I've led this team of creative people to make amazing art, amazing e-learning experiences based on the objectives that the client needs and everything that we've done through all the years. It's been a real honor for me as well.
Awesome. And just to speak to your credibility here, this channel was built, we want to show what good e-learning is. And if you look out into the industry, it's often very difficult to find examples of really good e-learning. Unfortunately, a lot of companies keep it behind a gate. Different agencies are careful as to what they want to show. And a lot of times it's not tied to IP, it's because unfortunately, a lot of e-learning or microlearning doesn't necessarily look great. And if you look at the portfolio, the massive portfolio we have on the Microlearning Lab, all of that has been because of Carlos, right? He's been behind every single project. His influences, not necessarily animating it, but he's led the team of creatives. He's put together the resources. And when you look at our portfolio, it's only a 30, 45 second snippet. That's what we're allowed to share from our customers. But you have to understand that some of these projects are massive. I think the most recent one was an agency outsourced to us to develop primary education videos, and it was like 300 videos within 6 months. And these weren't simple videos. These were live action animated videos that incorporated some B-roll. We had to recruit the actors. We gave them tools to develop the scripting process and templates a lot faster. And fortunately for them, actually, that was right at the start of this whole ChatGPT phase, so they were able to scale that up relatively quickly. So Carlos has done some very impressive things, and all I have to say is, if you're not sure about that, look at the portfolio in the Microlearning Lab, and you will see how impressive this is, because remember, that's only a 30 to 45 second snippet of massive projects that go way beyond that. If you're trying to develop engaging microlearning, e-learning at scale with limited time and resources, what's tip number one?
The first thing that we need to do is understand the customer's goals. It's very important that we not only understand what they're going for with the video or the content, but also for the learning objectives. So learning all this is very important for us, listening in to everything that they need to say, all the expectations that they have. And the trick, and this is the most difficult part most of the time, because we need to understand what they're saying, but do what they need.
That seems very obvious at a high level. I need to emphasize, when you have a team of 30, 40 people working on a project, making sure everyone understands the learning goals and the business goals of the content we're producing, it's not easy, right? A lot of times if you're working with creative developers or animators, they tend to be very silo oriented, right? If you think about the characteristics of an animator, they like to work by themselves. They're an animator because they like animating, and getting them to understand, hey, look, these videos have a purpose behind them. We're not creating videos for the sake of creating videos. We're creating videos to solve a business problem. So again, very simple point, but I 100% agree. And just to add to that, making sure that everyone on the team understands that, because that's what makes it kind of difficult is, yes, as the solution consultant, it's easy for me to understand, okay, what are you guys trying to do with your business goals? What impact does this actually have on your business, and what are the key metrics, right? You almost need to have an instructional designer teach everyone on the team, hey, look, this is why we're building the content. So love the insight. Very simple way to start. Now, what's tip number 2?
We need to make sure that we understand that visually as well. So first you understand what they need, then you do it visually. And to do that, we have to create a style guide for the client. To build a style guide, it has like sub-steps as well, because first we go through what we call a key visual, that it's just a frame, just an image to show like visually what we have in mind with the information that we were given. So after the client has approved that, then we go over to develop the style guide that includes colors, includes text, like how we're gonna use the fonts, how we're gonna use icons, how we're gonna use pictures, videos, actors, B-roll, depending on everything that we're gonna need. So this guide is very important so that the customer can understand all the importance of this. This is one of the trickiest parts, right? Because when you are developing something visual, there's a lot of people that can come up and because it's subjective, like the art, right? You have different opinions of people, and we need to come to a consensus. Operation also depends on the team that we build with the customer. So the customer becomes part of the team. And in creating the style guide as the second step, like that's like the first interaction that we have as in the production process. So that's what we do. That's what I recommend also, doing a small test with the style guide so that we can follow up.
We've worked with customers that have different levels of a style guide, right? A lot of times, if it's a larger corporation or a company that's a little more established, they obviously have a brand book and style guide. However, it's not necessarily tailored for e-learning. You often run into problems where there's not consensus on the client side. Once you build out your style guide that talks about the type of B-roll you want, you're going to realize, hey, look, the cheaper, more efficient stuff doesn't necessarily mean it's cheaper, more efficient. If you want something that's modern, cool, and fresh, it's a little expensive. So love the approach. All right, what's tip number 3?
Once you have like style established and you have like consensus, then you need to do a prototype, which is like the first draft of how everything will look. The client can see the video in action, like you can see how characters move, how icons move, how the colors look, how you can interact with things, how the activity is. And this is one of the most important parts in our process, because once we get buy-in from everyone, and it helps our team as well, once we help everyone to understand visually and interactively how things go and how things will be, we can follow up, and that's where we can scale up as fast as possible, but with a lot of patience until this point, like trying to not be slow, but like be active. But also it's the slowest part of the process, because we need to buy in from their team, from our team. We need everyone to understand what we're doing, and this is the part where everyone's confused. Up until this point, we call it the ramp up, and this is where we learn also how to work with the client, how they act, how they respond, and we understand how they are. If they're new, right, like if they're returning clients, we kind of understand, they understand the process. With the prototype, we understand everything. We have the first buy-in, we have the first approved thing, and it's like the first small win in the project that you can get to continue. And once it's approved, we go to the next stage, which is scaling up.
I know, just for context, guys, we have 2 different versions of prototypes, which makes things a little complicated sometimes. A lot of times during our initial consultation process, we offer more of a rapid prototype. This is for the direct production team on our client side, right? Hey, this is how we can create something quickly to actually test whether this solution works for your customers. And this one has to be as close to perfect as possible. If the branding's off, if the character aesthetic's off, if we don't have buy-in from every key member, it just creates so many issues later on in the production process.
The next big thing is organization. Like, how do you communicate everything efficiently to everyone? So in our case, we use a project management tool called Trello. Trello is even easier because it's like more visually appealing solution. And it's something that in our case, for each video we have a card, and in each card you have specifics for deliverables, you have specifics for comments, and you're talking about the same video. So it avoids a lot of confusion in emails or meetings because communication is directly on the card, on the item that needs to be fixed or that needs to be done or needs to be reviewed.
I know, just to add to this, because I'm a big Trello fan, and a lot of our customers are too, because of its simplicity, right? You're still going to need your Gantt charts, your project management spreadsheets with deadlines and everything. But with Trello, the big difference here is it's almost the center where everyone collaborates.
In our case, we use 2 boards. We use one with our customers because we're sending them the deliverable there. But internally, we also have a Trello board with our people because you need to provide the specific video to the animator or to the illustrator that's doing it, so they don't need to get confused. And that way you make sure that you're working on the same thing. Like you don't have 2 people working on the same thing at the same time. But yeah, having a methodology of organization and communication on the deliverables, it's a very, very big step after you have convinced your client or you have buy-in from everyone. Organizing everything is going to make your experience.
And the reason why you need that is because if you look at where people collaborate now, it's through email, through Slack. I've seen some companies using Telegram, of course phone calls, right? Weekly phone calls. But when you're dealing with 100 videos or 100 microlearning units, 100 modules, Trello's playing while we're talking about this, but in the description, we're going to include a link to how to use Trello for your project management, at least for e-learning and why we do it. But I love it because it centralizes communication. It has a very high adoption rate because all it is a Kanban board, right? You have a series of steps in the process, and then you have little cards that represent an e-learning module. And then you drag that e-learning module across that. And it's been really great because we can get subject matter experts that are not the most tech savvy that get it, right? We can have a VP jump in and she will understand, all right, I know what we have to do because stuff is in this column. And so I highly recommend Trello. I know Monday.com has a version of this Kanban board. Monday.com also has a lot of other stuff. And sometimes you don't need the other stuff, right? Sometimes it's really hard to get people to use a tool that does everything. But we like Trello because it does one thing very well, and it's very simple. And again, it just takes the communication and mess outside of email and chat and Slack where docs and drafts and everything gets lost, especially on these larger projects.
And this last one is not necessarily like in the particular order, but we need to understand the power of visuals. And to do that, we use Storyboards for video and for the e-learning side. This is one of the hardest parts for our customers also to understand sometimes, because the storyboard is a still image of every scene that we're gonna have. in the case of videos, and you don't see the things moving, but because you already sent a prototype, that's where the client can understand, okay, I think that they are going to move like this and this and this. And it is very important to see things like, if you only explain by text or by saying, it's not enough, like especially on video or on the e-learning side on a storyline. It's not enough like just to talk about it. You need to draw things and to make them see, hey, this is going to move here, or this is going to be this color, this is going to have this font, this is the word that's going to appear here. Is the daily activity, like is the main activity that you will have with the client, right? You send something, you need feedback. You edit it, you send it again, you need feedback. So making sure that they understand the visual aspect in the storyboard is very, very important. And it is, as I say, the most common activity that we will have.
I think it's important to call out the different kinds of storyboards, because a lot of our customers reach out to us and they'll say, oh yeah, we can develop or put together storyboards, but they're really just visual descriptions. And so a visual description has the narration and then somebody describing what's on the screen. The problem with that, and I understand why they do it, right? They don't have the creative process. They're not going to go draw on a napkin and take a picture of it and put it there. The issue with that is there's still a ton of room for interpretation. The power of visual storyboards is huge because you're going to have the text on screen, the context, how the scene was conceptualized. And I know I've told clients that we want them to be critical here, right? This is your chance to really change the flow of the module, because you're going to see everything. This is your chance to make big changes before you animate, before you add interaction, and you run through a more complex development process. Who's somebody you're a big fan of that people should be following?
I have recently started looking at Devlin Peck. He has a YouTube channel on how to be an instructional designer. Like, he talks more about instructional design. He has like very, very good input, very good insights on everything related to instructional design. Not been a while, but I have been looking through his content, and I think it's very good.
Love it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Devlin Peck too. I know he has a lot of notoriety with people trying to get into the industry, right? What are the tools they should be using? What's it like being an instructional designer? And I've noticed a lot of the bigger YouTube channels in the e-learning space that are instructional design driven are really geared towards how to be an instructional designer.
I do have one more person, if I can mention that I follow on. I have followed like for a little bit more, and that's called Chris Do. He has an agency called The Future, and it's more about design and how to create or develop or sell a creative business. So as a creative business, a designer, he gives really good tips on how to elevate your team or elevate your design or your processes or your marketing as well. So he has very good content, and he has very good creative business side of things. So I'm a big fan of how to improve creative businesses.
Love the insight. I definitely appreciate the time, Carlos. We're going to post links on either the storyboard process, the Trello board process in the description. Actually, we might even have them come up on a few video cards just right after this. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any questions about this process, feel free to reach out, and thank you again.
Thank you, Eric.
Curious about building your own micro-learning like this? We've got your back. Click the video cards for step-by-step videos. Subscribe for weekly tips, and check the description for a curated list of resources to kickstart your journey.